My name's Ray Austin with Austin Air Company. Have you ever had a problem with your air conditioner and just appear out of the blue and all of a sudden you're left to wonder, man, who do I call? Who do I trust to have someone come into my home and actually know that they know what they're doing? I'm a licensed contractor serving the Katy, Cypress, and some surrounding areas. I think this video is going to give you some unique insight as to what my company stands for and does, and some challenges that I've faced in running an HVAC business, and the myths involved and associated in what it takes to run an HVAC business. I think this video will be very interesting for you and help you decide, even if you decide not to use me, it will help you decide who you can trust to bring into your home and repair or replace one of the most expensive pieces of equipment that pertains to your household, your family's comfort, so on and so forth. So please watch this video to its full entirety to get the full picture. It is long, it's about 15 minutes. But it's going to give you that much further insight into what I can do for you, what I stand for as a company, and the challenges that I face as a company. Thank you for watching.
In an article that was just recently written up January 12th, 2015 by Entrepreneur Weekly, Small Business Development Center, Bradley University, and University of Tennessee Research, wrote up this article that discusses business failure rates by industry. And one of the main reasons why I'm using this is that it pertains to my business significantly. It basically discusses the challenges with businesses, what the percentages are that the business will fail. This isn't to suggest that I'm going to fail. This is just telling you that these are some of the challenges, and why it's so important that you choose the right company. You see new companies pop up all the time. Just realize that the majority of them won't be around within 4 or 5 years. This is just basically on the statistics. Now, one thing to note is that within this group, my specific thing isn't listed. Air conditioning and heating companies, plumbing companies, etc., typically fall under services category. So as you can see, this is the percentage of companies left over after 4 years. It's basically a coin toss. Half of them will be here, half of them won't. And then it goes further on down into the year, the percent that failed. As you notice, that the percent that failed goes up as the years go on. So, it's very, it just shows you, some of the challenges regarding heating and cooling. Everybody gets in and they say, oh, well, I can do it cheaper than this guy. And so, when you have that mentality, it's just a repeat of the same thing that's happened before. Somebody comes up, thinks they can do it cheaper. Turns out, oh, well, we couldn't do it cheaper. We lasted as long as we could. We filed bankruptcy. We didn't pay our taxes, whatever the reason. So, and part of this is that, according to this write-up, the major cause is incompetence. Emotional pricing, living too high for the business, so, it goes into wrong reasons for starting the business. If you're living too high for the business, your main reason for going into business was to get rich. So part of that goes into, also knowing the business, knowing how to do it, the experience in record keeping, so on and so forth. So, and then it discusses leading management mistakes, going into business for the wrong reasons, so on and so forth. You get into pride, lack lack of market awareness, the entrepreneur falls in love with the product or business. That's a key point, because many businesses, they only install one brand. So in other words, they're in love with that brand. Well, the market changes over time. There is no brand that's perfect. They all have flaws. It's the nature of the business. We're in business to fix them. If you can't fix them, you're not going to remain. I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of it. Brand won't do you anything if you don't put it in right. And part of the reason why I'm discussing this is because if you use a company and they go out of business for whatever reason, whatever their guarantee was with you, sure, you'll get guarantees from the manufacturer provided they do what they should have done, install it properly, list it with the manufacturer, so on and so forth. Otherwise, you're held captive based on what their warranty was. In other words, that warranty is probably not going to be transferable to another company. This is why it's very important that you choose the company that you do business with very carefully. And so basically, the business with the worst rate of success after the 5th year is plumbing, heating, and air conditioning. So that's part of the reason for this video, is to show you the challenges, associated with running a business. What's unique challenges to my company, and show you more along the lines as to what I do versus what others do. This is just basically to show you my own personal challenges when I first started. The company logo was originally going to be designed differently, because I spelt company differently. And the whole purpose for that was to build a logo that was going to be my official logo. Well, when you first start up, you run into problems and you can't do things a certain way, and so it's a learning process. Well, I'm kind of a funny guy too. Austin isn't the market that I serve, but yet Austin is a major city within the state in which I reside. And so, people often see my last name and they think of that major city when I am not in that city. I had people calling me for air. They didn't understand that air meant air conditioning. And because I had the no politics, just air, they're saying, oh yeah, he sells air, compressed air, oxygen, gases, so on and so forth. So, it's one thing to, come up with a logo that's going to be attractive, so on and so forth. But if it says the wrong thing, then you get people calling you that you're unaffiliated with what you do. And so that was the number one challenge. And so after much brainstorming and thinking about this, I started brainstorming. Now, this is the original character that I drew up. And, and obviously my personality being that I'm kind of a funny, goofy kind of guy, the character's kind of funny. And so this was the original idea. This was the original draw up. Just because, for the simple reason, if you look at a thermometer, you immediately know what I'm talking about. And so, with that said, it's a lot of work. I had to first come up with the idea, I had to draw it, I had to sketch it out, and then I had to put it in a form that was going to be attractive. I mean, while this guy looks kind of funny, it looks like a 2-year-old draw it, my drawing sometimes, isn't all that great. And so I continued the drawing and what I was going to do. I didn't want just a plain Jane thermostat. I wanted it to be interesting, And so this was the original idea, was to draw a fan cap and put that fan cap on his head. And so after much trial and error, this is what I came up with. And, and so once I tied this in with my logo, once I got the logo straightened up and everything and put it in, people loved it. They thought he was cute. They thought he was hilarious. They got it. Or at least they were starting to get it. Some people come across it and they just, they think I'm crazy or who knows what. And so over the past year or two, I started redeveloping the character and making him more refined in a 3D sense, just to give him a little bit, make him stand out a little bit more. And so, well, when I developed the one character, I came up with additional characters. They each have their own unique name, their own unique demeanor, and so I named them. Now, this guy is called Hot the Fanboy. It's basically because he's got the fan hat on, and so I named him. The next guy came along, so I named this guy Ice Hat Club for Hotheads. I'm not only, I'm also a client. I'm not just out there selling it to you, but I'm also a client of myself. I think you'll know. I don't even have to say who it resembles. I think you probably already know. And the reason why he shows that number one is that he's got number one smash hits. And so I named this character the King of Hot, because he's got number one smash hits. You make me sweat. The sun set fire to my brain. Dance me out of the sunlight. How am I supposed to sweat without you? Red hot shoes. Love me sweaty. Hot house rock. Ice hat baby. Chiller. And many more. You got to have somebody that administers Kool-Aid. People need Kool-Aid. They need to cool down. And so I named this character Dr. Hot and Steamy. Then we need somebody to steer the ship. So we needed a captain of the ship. And so that's why we developed Captain Hot Stuff. Then we came up with a fire chief. And so we came up with a forehead fire chief, because he comes out and he puts out fires on your forehead. And he's funny. It's a direct reflection of me and my passion, my personality, so on and so forth. And so we named him PSI, which is abbreviated, or an acronym, of pounds of sweat per inch. This character represents how I feel on the inside after a rough day of work. The big hands signify that you're in good hands with me. I'm going to do everything I can for you. I fully understand the situation that you're dealing with, and so that's what this character represents. And I named him Too Hot Clown. And each character that I do is intimate, passionate. This is what I do. I've been doing this for 20 years. So every idea that I get goes into what I do.
We interrupt this program to bring you the following alarming perspiration bulletin from your local global warming network. If you've seen these suspects, they should be considered hot and sweaty. Do not approach them. Approaching them may cause severe bouts of discomfort. You should contact your local Fahrenheit division of the FBI at 832-475-6895. These suspects are wanted for questioning in regards to the recent heat wave. This is your Global Warming Network. This concludes our alarming perspiration bulletin. We now conclude and continue for your viewing pleasure.
This should give you a more clear picture as to the amount of work that goes into running an air conditioning company. Obviously, this doesn't give you every challenge that I've had to deal with, but gives you just a small glimpse as to what it takes to run a company.
You can also go to my website, www.austinairco.com. I have a plethora of information for you to go through, additional videos, goes into further details about me, about what I stand for. That is my main website, www.austinairco.com. Additionally, if you live in the Katy, Texas area, you can always give me a call at 832-475-6895 and schedule your appointment. Thank you. Bye.